Alright, today we're going to do the trunk for palpations. Thank you for helping out again, Ethan. So we'll start, we'll do ribs. So for the ribs, you have 12 ribs, and they just kind of to palpate them, you can lift your arms up and you can feel right underneath. You can count down at least the last 12, you can kind of count down that way, while the other ones kind of come across there, across your chest. So next, after that, you can put your hands down. Now I don't think there are any other ones. We have the sternum. So the sternum has a bunch of pieces. Right here is the jugular notch, so that's just kind of indentation right there. It goes down into the membrane, which is kind of like a bow tie knot in a way. If you were to kind of think about it, it's just a rounder aspect right there. Then there's the body of the sternum, and then right there is the xiphoid process. So that makes up the sternum. Next, we will go on to some of the ones that we've had before, which is, just make sure I can be seen. So you have the anterior iliac spine, anterior superior iliac spine right there, and then the crest runs around this, and then down here, that bump is the posterior superior iliac spine. So that deals with all of those. Next, for bones, we have the different vertebrae. So if you come across here, if you could straighten up a little bit. Yeah, so you come across. Right there across is, that's going to be your T2. And go up one, that other big one, T1. And you can kind of just follow that down. They're going to be 12 of those thoracic vertebrae, and then you're going to have the lumbar vertebrae. How to find those, so also another one that's kind of important is if you go across right here with your scapula, you can find T7. It's kind of prominent right there, kind of goes across medially to that. But yeah, so another one that's important is the lumbar. So with that, you can go across crest, find the crest, and just go medial. And there's going to be a big one right there. That's going to be your L4. So you can trace that up and find L3, L2, L1, or you can go L5 right there, which is a little bit going in. S2, so that's right there. It's just below, it's as it's going downwards. And that's it for the bones in that. Now we'll move on to some connective tissue type stuff. So with that, you have the, we'll start off with linea aspera, I guess. Goes right down here. It kind of goes down to your, all the way down to your pubic symphysis, which is right there. And then you have your thoracolumbar fascia, and that's just going right here on your back. And next after that, you will have in between each disc the intervertebral discs, and also some joints that are right in that spine are facet joints. They kind of connect the different vertebrae together. You have this transverse processes also that kind of poke out to the side that I didn't really palpate for, but each one, if you really dig in, you can feel a little bit of a lump, but it's not as prominent. And with the other joint that's in here is the sacroiliac joint. We talked about that before. It's just right there, and it just sits there. Next, we have some of those ligaments that come down. So one that you can't palpate for because it's going to be on the inside of your spine is the anterior longitudinal ligament. Then you have the posterior longitudinal ligament, which runs down here, just down your spine. You're also going to have the supraspinatus ligament, which does the same thing. It runs down your spine. One that runs more inside of your spine is going to be that ligamentum flavum. So that's going to be inside there, and that should cover connective tissues. So lastly, we'll go on to muscles. So for muscles, you have the rectus abdominis. So for the rectus abdominis, that's going to start and originate at the pubic symphysis, and it's going to go to those 5th through 7 ribs. So they're going to be kind of in the, I would say, higher range up here with those. And yeah, that really is just going to help. That muscle is going to help with trunk flexion. And next you're going to have the, we'll do the transverse abdominis. So with the transverse abdominis, that's going to be a little bit different. That helps with stabilization. So that's going to originate at the inner 1/3. Also, one thing I forgot, sorry, is for the last one, it's also gonna insert on the sternum. So it's not just going to be those 5 through 7. I messed that up. So yeah, for the transverse abdominis, you're going to have it go from it's going to go into that iliac crest. So it's going to originate in the inner aspect, inner 1/2 of that, and the middle 1/2 inner, and then it's going to go outer to that, and that's where it's going to insert into. That's going to help with trunk stabilization, as I already mentioned. So next we're going to go on to I'll go to some back muscle, or some ones that are on the back. So you have the erector spinae, which are 3 muscles. You're going to have the spinalis, which is most medial, the longissimus, which is right in between, right in the middle out of those 3, and then most laterally you're going to have the intercostalis, and those help with trunk extension. So after that, you're going to have the quadratus lumborum. The quadratus lumborum is one that runs from that iliac crest that I mentioned earlier. So the iliac crest, and it's going to go to the rib, the 12th rib, as well as the L1, so up here through L4, going down. So you can just find L4 and trace up to palpate for that. So yeah, that's where that runs. It helps with hip elevation, and then it's also going to help with trunk extension and lateral flexion. So that's just going to be kind of moving off to the side like that, flexing your body like that. So then the last 2 muscles that we have are the obliques. So you might have heard in exercise and stuff about the obliques. You have the internal and the external. So for the external, that's going to originate at the 5 through 12 ribs, and so it's just gonna kind of go and all the way down, and it's going to be that it's going to insert in the pubic symphysis, the linea alba, so that line that kind of comes down that I mentioned earlier, and then also the iliac crest. So it's just going to kind of insert in all those places and form this muscle right here. And then the last muscle is the internal oblique, and for that, it's going to start off in that thoracolumbar fascia, and that's going to be its origin, and it's going to just move on to that 9th through 12th rib, and that's going to be the origin for that. So they're going to be the lower ones. Yeah. I think that's all. Thank you for helping. Hopefully that's all. Thank you.